studying the Bible. It really isn't as difficult as we make it out to be. Yes, there are some hard passages in the Bible, such as when Moses' wife Zipporah cut off the foreskin of their son and then threw it at Moses in the middle of the night so an angel wouldn't kill him. I'll admit, yeah, that's a tough passage. Or Elisha sending bears to kill 42 youths. That falls into the category of really easy to know what happened, a little harder to say why it happened. And some of the events of the prophets can be difficult to know where to put them in the timeline of ancient Israel. But a lot of the Bible is not as difficult as we make it out to be. Studying the Bible should not be considered intimidating, since we all know pastors who are chomping at the bit for people in their churches to say, "I need help with a difficult passage." Thanks to a new book on Bible study by Daniel Goepfrich, he wants you all to know you can do this. You can study the Bible on your own, and you can read it with understanding. This book is so easy to read. When it says Hermeneutics for Everyone, it really means for everyone. This is a book to let every single person in the church know, yes, you too can read the Bible with understanding and study it in detail. So let me tell you about my thoughts on Daniel Goepfrich's Hermeneutics for Everyone. Welcome to Rev Reads. If you want to discover more books that will help you to study the Bible, please subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with the most current reviews. And also, please like this video, share it with other people to help them know about the work of Daniel Goepfrich. And I want to say a big thank you to the Buy Me a Coffee members. Your support is what allows me to cover the costs of keeping up with Rev Reads so that I can continue to produce these new reviews. And if you're watching this video and you have found Rev Reads to be a benefit to you, I would love for you to consider supporting the channel at that beginning membership mark of only $3 a month. Now, let's start with the negatives on this book, and I only have two. My first negative is the title. This book is so practical and down to earth. It's not only easy to read, and Daniel writes in a style that is friendly, engaging. I really loved his approach. No one should look at this book and think, this is intimidating and I might not be able to get through it. But they might find a book called Hermeneutics? They might find a book called Hermeneutics for Everyone intimidating, simply because the word hermeneutics is intimidating. I can think a couple of the people in my church who I think would benefit from this book, but it would take a lot of serious convincing for me to get them to start reading a book with the word hermeneutics in the title. Now, if I was titling it, I would have gone even simpler, and I would have called this Bible Reading for Everyone or Bible Study for Everyone. There are a lot of Christians out there who think reading the Bible isn't for me. But Daniel shows you why reading the Bible is for you, and studying the Bible is for you. And studying the Bible really is nothing more than digging into the details of the text so we can understand what it means while we're reading it. We are not studying the Bible simply to increase our knowledge so we can grow our hat sizes and kill it whenever Bible is a category on Jeopardy! But we're studying the Bible so that in all of our future reads of the Bible, we can read the scriptures, know what it's saying, know with confidence what God, through his word, is communicating to us through that passage. My second negative in the book, Daniel has a really great section on Bible translations that I really loved. I found his thoughts to be balanced, realistic. Overall, might be the best chapter I've ever read on selecting a Bible translation for a new Bible reader. Maybe he's been watching my Bible translation reviews. Probably not. But one thing I would change is I wish that the book did include a few more translations in it, such as the Modern English Version or the Evangelical Heritage Version. This is a small complaint, kind of nitpicky, but it stood out to me basically because I did love that chapter so much that if we would have just added a couple more translations, I think the chapter would have been like the Mary Poppins of chapters on Bible translations, practically perfect. And the rest of the book is great. If you are a pastor and you're looking to teach one or several people in your church on how to study the Bible, read with more understanding, this book is the way to go. For me, when I'm doing this type of help to people, I normally write things up on my own, but right now, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use Daniel's book if I'm going to help anybody with hermeneutics who's at the entry level going forward. The heart of this book is using really two basic techniques for Bible study. The first is that we need to use the literal, grammatical, historical method in Bible interpretation. And by the way, someone's got to find a better word than literal. I don't think it's the best word to communicate what we're going for when we use that phrase. Daniel, even in this book, uses the words plain, natural, normal. It's just the normal meaning of words in context. I think all of those are better than literal, because a literal translation suggests we won't recognize symbols or word pictures when using the literal, grammatical, historical method, but that is far from true. The second main part of the book, and this takes up a lot of space in this book, is what Daniel refers to as the ACTS Bible study process. ACTS is simply an acronym to remind the reader of the Bible or student who's looking into a particular passage to ask questions, compose your thoughts, test your conclusions, and submit to God's word. And then Daniel spends 4 chapters unpacking each of those points. So we ask questions when we're asking simple, basic questions such as, who is the author? Who is the audience? What type of literature is this? We compose our thoughts then by going from the basics of what does this passage say to, in the second question, what does this passage mean? What is the point that the author is trying to get across here? Why did Jesus tell his disciples to abide in him? The what is easy, the why a little bit more nuanced. And then we test our conclusions by going back and asking, what did I miss in my study? And this is where it's helpful to read from other resources. This is personally the reason why I use commentaries. Commentaries are here to help the person who has already done their own legwork in Bible study in asking questions and looking for meaning. The commentaries are here for us to re-examine the passage and for me to see what I missed in my study. Often what I'm hoping to find from commentaries is that they'll provide connections to other passages in the Bible that I didn't consider simply because the Bible's so big, it's impossible for one person to catch all the places where one passage interacts with another. Or I love seeing archaeological or geographical insights that I was not previously aware of. And the final step of Acts is submit to God's word, which is asking the question, how should I respond to this passage? This is the application of where I live out what is found in the Bible. So for instance, if we're talking about abiding with Christ, we're going to talk about how we can live out and apply abiding with Christ during our daily lives. I believe Acts is a great tool that is easy to remember, and once you've put it into practice, probably 10 or 15 times yourself, you will then end up doing that when you study the Bible without even thinking about it. But all too often, we just skip right to point number 4 in Acts, and we immediately start by saying, what does this passage mean to me, without first doing the legwork of knowing what the author is saying to his original audience. And all of this is very helpful advice by Daniel Goepfrich. If you are someone who finds Bible study too intimidating, or you view the Bible as almost this unknowable book of mystery that you could never understand, you need to pick up this book. read it through. And just as important as reading through this book, there are numerous exercises as you go throughout. Do those exercises because they will help you to gain confidence in your own ability to read and study and ultimately understand the Bible. Because reading the Bible, yes, even hermeneutics, is for everyone.